Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Power to the People podcast. My name is Mariel Reyes, and this is Tony House, and we are hosting this new podcast. Here, we're hoping to have conversations with young adults about the current events of our world, and Tony has prepared a little bit of a bio explaining what it is that we're trying to do with this podcast.
Yeah, so the Power to the People podcast is a podcast dedicating to discussing uncomfortable topics and events that affects people of color in America, as well as empowering the youth to use their voice and educate themselves and others through reading, activism, and conversation. It is hosted, of course, by me and Madi.
So the purpose of today's podcast is really just to introduce ourselves so that everyone, including future guests, can get to know us a little bit more, see what it is that we're trying to talk about, and share a little bit about our experiences with the movement. So I have prepared a few questions, and we're going to answer those for you. So the first question is a two-piece question. So who are you and what are you currently involved in? And Tony, I'm going to let you go first.
Okay, I am Tony House. My pronouns is he, him, his, in case anyone's wondering. And right now I am involved in a club that me and my two friends are making at Sea Butter. It is called the Socioeconomic Justice Society. And this club is all about closing the wealth gap and educating people about stuff that is going on that affects just people in poverty. I am also involved in another podcast. It's Just Everything podcast. Um, and yeah, those are the two things that I am currently involved in.
My name is Mariel Reyes Galvez. I am 20 years old. I'm currently a student at CU Denver with major in accounting. I am currently a part of Power to the People podcast. Other than this, I try to get involved in my community as much as I can. I'm currently working part-time, so it's hard to find, organizations that are doing things virtually. I try to join as many live conversation circles or talking circles as I can. But yeah, this is the major thing that's going on in my life, and I have worked with organizations in the past, but I just recently finished my internship with the Colorado State Legislature. I was at the Capitol for the whole semester, the whole spring semester of 2020, and I was working under Senator Robert Rodriguez. It was a really amazing experience to get to know the Latinx caucus and see all of the legislation that goes on inside of the Capitol. Whether it exists to serve our people or not, it was really interesting to see all of that. However, right now, what I'm really trying to do with Power to the People podcast is highlight youth voices, because what I have not seen in our community is young adults talking to young adults about the current events in our society. What I have seen a lot of, and I am not discrediting at all, is adults asking for the youth perspective, whereas even the youth perspective itself is very diverse. So I wanted to use this platform to highlight that, and hopefully we can do that for you all and bring as many youth onto this podcast as possible.
Dang, if I knew it was going to go into depth like that, I would have said so much more.
Well, do you want to add more? You can add more.
It's all good. It's all good. They'll know more about me
as we progress. Okay, awesome. So our next question is, why are you doing this? I guess I kind of answered it a little bit, but why are you doing this with me, Tony? Why did you say yes, Mari? I'll do this with you?
I said yes because I am all about just giving the youth a platform to be able to express themselves, because I know a lot of us don't have anywhere that we can just express our anger. our sadness and just even just our love for our community, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I wanted to give them a platform where they are able to do that, as well as a platform where um, minorities being educated is the main focus, right? And us just talking about stuff that even if we are not as educated on something as everyone else is, I want this show, I mean, not show, but this podcast to basically to show that even if you don't know a lot, you can still do a lot, right? And so, um, and also, I want people to know that like if you don't know something, right? Here are all the sources that you can use to find it. We are one of the sources that to help you find those resources, right? But also, just so people don't are not afraid to say what's on their mind, right? The fact that so many people are afraid to say what's on their mind, um, even just out of not being educated, right? And I want to make it kind of, so I can say, normalize being not uneducated, but normalize being incorrect and getting corrected by someone else
Mm-hmm.
who knows more. Because I feel like so many people have so much pride, and you know, people don't like being wrong, right? And I think in this day and age, especially with trying to be an activist or trying to protest for George Floyd and all of that, we have to be able to allow ourselves to be in that space to talk. And if we say something wrong, it's okay. We'll back each other up and say, "Well, that's not all of the truth. Let me educate you a little bit." So then when we go on and progress in our lives, we're able to know more than we did the day before.
Awesome. Thank you. So why am I doing this? I would like to second that, right? I would like people, I should stop saying people because it's young adults is my focus. Youth is my focus and what gets me fired up in the mornings every single day to do my job, to get involved, to do this podcast. Um, I want youth not to be afraid to say what's on their minds, to bring all the pain, to bring all the happiness. And just have a place where we can express that, right, to other young adults and not have our voices tokenized, not have our voices on display, and just know that there are other people out there who may feel as crazy as you do, having all the thoughts and feelings as we experience youth, as we experience the youngest years of our lives. So, I hope that people can take away from this that there is not one. I see a lot of like spokespeople for youth, and many times they are the same people repeated over and over, and usually we have the same stories. We grow up in those schools that have more funding, or we grow up in those schools who have less funding, or we grow up in the gifted and talented programs, or we grow up being the straight A 4.0 student and then are put on display to give the youth perspective. But that isn't the only youth perspective that exists, and I really, really want to highlight that. So here on this show, I hope to bring a wide range of young adults who are overachievers in what they are passionate about, and that may not be academics, that may not be politics, that may be art, that may be photography, that may be anything else, right? I want to also use this platform to change the definition of what an overachiever looks like, what a youth activist looks like, right? What um, someone who is passionate looks like, right? And what does that look like in our youth? Um, so yeah, this is a place where we will definitely highlight that, and by any means necessary. Um, so yeah, that's why I'm doing this, because I've been so frustrated for so long and complain a lot to the people close to me about, well, why isn't this organization doing this, and why isn't this organization doing that with their youth? And I'm done complaining. I'm done impatiently waiting for someone else to do it, I might as well do it myself and with a little bit of help.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, moving on to our next question. And let me know if you want to interrupt and just say what's
Yeah.
on your mind. Okay. So, whew, remember when I said I wish I would have recorded us struggling to find a name for this project? I really wish I would have recorded that because I think it was not only hilarious, I think it was passionate. I think we had a lot of conflict within ourselves because we wanted, so many different things. We had to, sometimes I saw us being on our tiptoes about the name. Sometimes I saw us being like, screw it, we're just going to choose this one and that's what it is. And then I saw us make a decision that felt right for us. So this is called the Power to the People podcast. I think we've said that over 100 times already. So what does power to the people mean to you?
I think power to the people is, I think the name is in a way self-explanatory. It's giving the people the power to be able to, or not even giving them the power, because I think everyone already has the power, right? But in a way of teaching them how to use that power, right? I think that's what this podcast is all about. It's all about showing the people the tools that they have, right? Or the youth, right? The minority youth, the power and the tools that they have at their disposal so that they are able to use their power because they already have power. Now it's just all about how can I tap into that power, right? How can I find all these books? How can I find all these articles, podcasts? How can I connect with people and these activists to be able to go out and organize? How do I even organize, right? And how do I become comfortable with using my voice and using my resources, right? And so I think that's what power to the people mean to me is showing them how is like this podcast is showing them how to use their power, right? But power to the people, that's what it's all about in my opinion.
Thank you. To me, power to the people is really youth-centered. Again, um, I love young people. I don't hate old people, but I love youth. I love the fire that we carry. And to me, power to the people is showcasing that fire, showcasing that passion, um, saying it loud and proud, what it is that we're feeling, because all of the decisions that are currently being made in our country are going to affect our tomorrow and are deeply affecting our today. So, when I see youth, I see the future. I see people who are going to be affected by decisions that they are not involved in. And I think that hurts. That hurts a lot to think about, that we are not at the table when these decisions are being made. And occasionally we are mentioned, but we are mentioned as though we have some sort of ignorance about what the world is like and what the world is currently going through, when we really have one of the largest role to play in it, right? A lot of these protests currently are being organized by youth, are being organized by young women, are being organized by young people across the country. So we're not naive, and power to the people, it means to me, it's showing that we're not naive and our voices matter, our voices are important, and they're gonna be the loudest ones.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Period.
Period. Okay, next question. How are you changing the narrative for yourself?
Ooh, okay. I think, and I think we've discussed this before. It's more of I want to change the narrative of, I think, I don't want to use that word though, but really it's just I want to change the narrative of just being an angry Black man, and also the narrative of, oh, Black people are just, y'all just complain too much, right? And that's something that you hear a lot, right? And it's like, I want to change that narrative of, for my people, just like, no, we're not complaining, right? We are showing you what is happening in the world, showing you how oppressive this system is, right? And it's not us complaining, and it's us telling you what the fuck is happening, right? And
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, we deserve, for one, to be angry, but two, when we're talking about this shit, is we deserve to be angry. But I believe that just because we're talking about it doesn't make us angry. We're not protesting, and we're not organizing and mobilizing out of anger. We're doing it out of love for our own people, right? And I think that's what everyone needs to understand. Of, oh, why are you so angry? Oh, y'all writing out there, why y'all so angry? Y'all protest, why y'all so angry? It's like, one, yeah, we are angry. Don't get us wrong, but we are angry, and we are doing this out of love for our people. And I
Yeah.
think I want to change that narrative. And I want to change that narrative for. I think also that we don't understand what's happening, or all Black people are, uneducated, and we're all just criminals and shit like that. Like, I want to change all of that, right? Even the people in the hood. And that's why on this podcast, we are definitely getting some people who are not as well spoken as us, right? Even though I don't think I'm that well spoken, but that are not as well spoken as us, right? And who have not, we all have assimilated in a way, but who are directly from the hood, that everyone keeps mentioning, that you think are uneducated, and we're gonna show you just how educated those people are, because, or my people, our people are,
Mm-hmm.
because we are an educated bunch of people. So yeah.
Dope. Dope. Um, how am I changing the narrative for myself? Well, I faced a lot of anger when I decided to change my major to accounting. I initially started as a math major with a concentration in secondary education. However, life comes at you quick. Life has been coming at me since I was born. I'm not going to go into my life story. Maybe that'll be for a different podcast. But the point is, I've faced adversity. I've faced a problematic life my entire life. Things have switched up on me in a matter of minutes. So when I reflected on the classes that I was taking as a math major, the classes that I was taking as a secondary education concentration, I already felt drained from a job that I wasn't doing. So then I reflected what it is that I wanted to teach. Did I want to teach math? Or did I want to teach people something that would completely change their lives, something that they cannot go throughout life without? And, it was the latter. And so I started to think about, well, how do I do that? I know that I was unhappy, although I was like top 10 of my class. I graduated with honors, graduated president of my class. I was still unhappy all throughout my schooling, right? So what is it, if I'm such an academic achiever, why do I hate school? Why did I feel like that? And why did I want to go back to the place that I wanted to get out of so bad? So as I started to reflect on that, I realized I hate curriculum. I really dislike it. It seems so pointless to me up until 8th grade math. I don't think you need more. And maybe freshman algebra, maybe. But beyond that, it seems as though we're stuffed with information just to pass a test, just to get a score, to make the district look good, and then get into the good college. And then when you get to the good college, like I did, I didn't know what to do. And I didn't know which direction to take because all I knew was academic achievement. I didn't know any life skills. So I looked at my community. I reflected on my personal life, and there was one major thing missing in my life, and that was financial education. And I thought, well, why don't we have business courses in our classes? Why don't we have financial classes in our schools? And we used to, right? Our parents' generation used to have those classes that taught you those basic life skills that could get you through anything. But once districts realize that you can't technically test those things, and it's not going to reflect very well on like comparing school to school, the curriculum started to change. And it became one that is draining, that many times makes our students feel like they're doing something that's pointless. And after you leave the test, it's like you were gaslit. It's like you did something because someone told you, and not necessarily because you wanted to do it. And whether you succeeded or didn't, it still wasn't a pleasant experience. So how do you make those pleasant experiences? Well, as I saw that my community was facing financial difficulties and continue to do so today, as I saw how many Latinx businesses fail because of the inability to handle our finances correctly, as I saw how many students have to drop out of college because they just can't afford it anymore, I decided that I'm going to be the one to do something about that. So yes, I chose the accounting degree. I'm currently working at a bank. So I'm going to know the ins and outs of this economy, the ins and outs of, yes, capitalism, but I'm going to learn how to teach my people to survive, and not just survive, but thrive economically, because that's what they come to this country to do. At least my immigrant parents came here to do that. And I'm going to make sure that if I can at least do it for myself and my family, then I'm already winning. So I want to take that experience and spread it to more people. I will find a way to bring financial education back into the classroom, because it is the one thing that holds our students back. And it's not the ultimate thing that holds our students back. There's also many other things, like the school to prison pipeline and in-school discrimination and suspensions at the preschool level, which is ridiculous, right? But so many of our kids come so far, and then the economic stuff hits and they can't go further. So yeah, that's how I'm changing the narrative for myself and for my people.
Yeah, I love that a lot.
Thank you. Okay.
I got a question for you,
Yeah.
because I got two questions. One is a clarifying question of, do you support and enjoy capitalism?
I do not support or enjoy capitalism.
And
I think
I think
I
we've discussed this before, and it's more of just like, people would say, how can you not like it or support it, but your career
mm-hmm,
and your whole life choice is supporting it, right?
yeah.
And so yeah, I want to hear your response to that, because I feel like that's a response that a lot of people needs to hear.
Yeah, well, you got to learn the system to beat the system, you know? I think what we lack in the social justice community is people who are on the other side, right? Um, and by the other side, I don't mean people who are like completely against our views. I mean people who know the ins and out of businesses, people who know the ins and outs of the way capitalism works, because they've worked in it, as opposed
Mhm.
to just knowing how it works because we've read about it, right? So I don't want it to just be me. I want to be able to educate other people as well and bring them along for the ride, because many times we may support a bill, right, and then we don't look at the fiscal piece or the monetary piece, and just think because this is just, it must be done, and then don't know what type of funding we should have to make that bill survive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are many, many pieces to capitalism. And this is me, I'm in no way putting down people who choose degrees that are not business degrees or engineering degrees or STEM majors, right? I don't glorify capitalism at all, but I do know that as a child, I lacked economic, I lacked wealth, right? As a child, I didn't have a lot of things that many of my classmates in my own community did. So I know that I carry that trauma with me and want to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the way to do it for me.
Yeah.
And I don't believe I'm supporting capitalism. I think I'm learning it through experience and then using that knowledge to bring the system down.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like people don't understand that there's two types of approaches to,
Mm-hmm.
activism and changing the system, right? There's a group of activists who works in the system to change the system. There's a group of activists who works outside the system to change the system. And I think people don't understand how important having both of those groups of people are, right? Because if you just have a group of people who has never worked inside the system and don't really know how the system works, you know, once the system is dismantled, they have no idea how to even,
Mm-hmm.
create a whole entire system. They don't have no
Yeah.
idea to do it, right? And so I think it's important for both um, to reside in this movement, right? Like even back in the day, I think a lot of people read about the people who are working outside the system, but you have to realize that um, the people who work out the system and in the system, they work together, right? Back in the day, there was a whole ass conference, right? And it was with Angela Davis, who worked outside the system,
Mm-hmm.
and some other folks who worked in the system, and some more people like Angela Davis who worked outside the system too, and they all had a conversation. And one thing that this guy said was, people don't understand that there's more than one way to be in activism, and activism looks different for everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And working inside the system does not make you any less of an activist or make you, I think, any less anti-capitalist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you need people to infiltrate the system and to be in the system to
Mm-hmm.
learn the system and to change the system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I think while we're figuring out how to dismantle the system, as we're figuring out how to get the resources that we need, we still need to teach our people how to survive in the currently existing system, because they're not, as they wait, right? As we wait and as we do the work, we still live in it.
Mm-hmm.
So somehow we have to find a way to live. And what better way to do that than teaching your own community, right? Or having someone from your community teach you, someone that is trustworthy and has your best interest in mind. Our last question is, what is your mission in life? And I think I've answered mine a little bit. Um, so I'm gonna go ahead and let you go and see if I can come up with anything else.
I think right now, I don't, I don't know. I would say that I don't really know truly what my mission is. I know what I wanted. Like I know at the end of the day that my whole purpose in life for me personally is, to make the world a better place, right? And to help people. And I know when I get older, I want to start, like, I want to be an activist. I want to start my own organization or collective or something like that, right? But as far as what it would until I don't know what I would be going against at that time. It could be one all focused on the prison industrial complex and dismantling that, or education, or the wealth gap. Who knows? Me personally, I don't know yet what my mission in life is or what I'm going to do. And I think that's okay. And that's the reason why I'm reading more and I'm, talking to these activists and joining these organizations to understand what is it I'm really passionate about and what my mission will be in life. And, you know, I just think people watching this podcast, it's okay to not know what your mission is, right? Figure it out. That's what I'm doing.
Well, I'm a very project-driven, goal-oriented person. Like my day is planned out to the T. I use my planners and, you know, that something's wrong with me when I'm not planning my days, when I'm not using a planner, when I'm like, screw it, whatever. We'll figure out what happens today. Um, so I've been a goal-oriented person since I was little. When I was little, I would say I'm going to be a doctor. When I was, in middle school, I'm going to be an artist. When I was in high school, I'm going to be a teacher. And now I'm going to be an accountant, So my mission, I think, is constantly evolving, but it has always stayed serve my community and come out on top. Um, that's the most important thing to me, and be happy. Because I think we were talking about this earlier today when we went to do a lot of photo shoots. Like our pictures, by the way, we did a really cool photo shoot with our social media manager, Kobe, out at the Capitol with some of the graffiti today. So it was awesome. Make sure to check those out. But as we were doing that, I was telling you all, I'm someone who gives so much of myself to the things that I do, to the people in my life. And I set up a false expectation that I'm available 24/7, or that I'm somebody who is expendable and is able to be at a million places at the same time. And although I wish I could do that, I can't. So, my ultimate mission in life is, yes, to serve my community, to come out on top, but to do that in a way where I'm not stretching myself so thin that there is none of me left to give after the first try, because I recognize that what it is that I'm trying to accomplish is going to take 1,000 tries until the right one. So I want to be able to do that in a way that I'm not unhappy and then end up running away from the movement and end up somewhere where I'm not doing anything, right? Where I burn myself out and then there's none of me left. There's no fire, there's no passion. I don't want to get to that point. And I think there has been moments where I have gotten to that point. This semester, the spring semester, was so hard. I was juggling so much. So quarantine for me was a blessing in disguise, to be able to reflect on that and make that be happy, although it sounds so simple and so cliche. Be happy has turned into one of my goals. So that's my ultimate mission in life. Serve my people, come out on top, but be happy while doing that.
Yeah. And I think in this whole field of people who life is all about um, helping other people, right, and doing stuff for other people, you know, I think we all fall into that place of I'm so tired, right, of doing this and that and this and that for everyone else and not never having time for me, right, not having time to get a break in a sense, right, and I think it's one thing people have to understand is that to be a person that helps everyone does not mean you have to be a person for everyone, right? And what that means is that you are, at the end of the day, you're not a machine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every activist, every politician, whoever the fuck, you need a break, right? And people don't understand that. It's like Martin Luther King took breaks, Malcolm X took breaks, Angela Davis, James Baldwin, they all took breaks. We all got to be able to take breaks, because if you're not right yourself, how can you go and make your people right? How can you go and make the system right if you yourself are not right, right? And that's what people don't understand. It's like, understand, and I always say black joy, but I think just joy, period, right? But I always refer to it as black joy. It's just because I always, talk towards my people. But people have to understand that black joy is still radical in itself. Being happy is still radical in itself. And so sometimes give yourself a break, and
Mm-hmm.
whatever that entails, whatever, just give yourself a constant form of break, or
Yeah.
an outlet that you can use, because you don't need to sit here and burn yourself out, because that will not do anything but just hurt the movement, right? If all of our activists just work, and it was all burned out and it was all tired,
Mm-hmm.
and they never had any chance, had any time to themselves to make themselves right mentally or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
and everything would just fall apart. And that's what you have to understand, is that it's okay to take a break. It's okay to be sometimes not for yourself, because I think even taking time for yourself is not for yourself. You're taking time for yourself for your community, right?
Yeah.
It's okay to do that.
Yeah. Very well said. Very well said. Alrighty, so that's all the questions that I have, and we're a little bit, um, we have a little bit of time left only. So, is there anything you want to share with everyone about the current events that are going on in the world? And I think that might be a separate episode as well. But yeah, anything else that you want to say before we hop off this call and call it a day?
Yeah. Let me think. I'd say to everyone to continue to educate yourself, right? And I want to say to everyone to that yeah, you can't read yourself through the movement, but I think at the start of it, you got to open a book yourself, right? Because one thing I see a lot of, and I don't really like, is a lot of people going to black people and saying, "Hey, educate me on all of this, right? Tell me about all of that. Tell me about your experiences, right?" And that's more labor and pressure on those people, right? And it's like, look, just pick up a book, an article, read, right?
Yeah.
You got to read, and then afterwards, if you still don't understand something, cool, come to us or whatever. We'll educate you more. But I think everyone needs to understand the importance of education, no matter if you're an activist, an ally, whatever. Education is important. That's something I have to stress, right? And just because you're educated does not mean you're an activist. Let's also put that out there too, right?
Mhm.
And I'm sorry, I'm trying to go fast. I know we don't have that much time. I'll go more in depth about all this stuff in like other episodes, but also activists, if you're going to use the hood and the projects for credibility, your ass better be out there in the hoods and stuff like that with the people. And that don't mean just out there for photo ops or out there, you know, you have to be out there actually talking, conversing, and interacting with the people, right? To better, I think, to make you a better activist, to better educate yourself on the people that you're serving and what they want,
Mhm.
right? But also to bring them to the table too. I don't think a lot of activists need to understand. A lot of them call themselves leaders, and that's great. But you have to understand, and personally, this is my personal, I like this is how I see it, is that there's no leaders in this movement, in my opinion. In this opinion, we're all in this together, bring everyone to the table and not just say, I'm gonna speak for everyone, I'm gonna do it. No, we all deserve to be at the table. There's no hierarchy here. We
Exactly.
all need to be at the table, so bring
Mhm.
everyone to the
Yeah,
table.
I love that. And my message is just echoing that. Plus, I know there's many of y'all out there who feel the same way. So join us and reach out to us. We will put our information in the bio, and hopefully you all reach out to us. We want as many guests in and out of our network, right? Tony and I have a large existing network between ourselves, but we recognize that we grew up in a particular way. So if you have an opinion to share, you have an experience to share that is completely valid. So please do and join us and calling all the youth out there. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about it. Let's create the space for it. This is it. It exists now. So, lastly, we want to do song of the day, at least for yourself, and share something interesting. It can be on topic, it can be off topic, but just what's your song of the day?
I've been waiting for this. My song of the day is I Can't Breathe by her. Powerful song, man. Like it is just amazing, bro. Like I cannot stop listening to it. I listen to it every single day since it came out. It is my favorite song right now. Just amazing. Oof, girl. Okay, and something interesting. I guess it's the book I'm reading. I'm reading this book um, called Hunger, right? And it's by Roxanne. And so it's just all about this black woman, right, who is larger than most, right? I don't like saying the word fat, but larger than most, right? And she talks about just her journey, right? And it's a memoir all about her, and it's just talks about her journey and the reasons why she's like that, right? And it gave me so much more perspective, right, into I think that realm, right? And even just hearing her story of she she initially got bigger not for the simple fact of, yeah, I'm just unhealthy. It was for the simple fact that she got sexually assaulted as a child. And so she ate to cope with the pain, but also because it was like, I know that bigger women are unattractive. And so I would make myself bigger so that I would never be touched like that again. Right. And it's just a powerful memoir and a powerful book. And I think everyone should read it. Truly, it's a really amazing book.
Awesome. We'll make sure to include this in the bio as well so you all can reference it. My song of the day is DNA by is it Kendrick? Yeah, it's Kendrick, right?
Kendrick.
Sorry, I was thinking Kodak in my head and I was like, no, that's not it. But yes, DNA by Kendrick. When it came out, it was huge. Like people were doing dance covers on YouTube, people were covering it, like it was insane. And I think was it 2016, 2017 when it came out?
I think 2016.
Something like that, right? So I was maybe 16, 17 at the time. Not that I've gotten any young wiser through my years. I'm 20 years old now. But really analyzing the lyrics of what I'm listening to now has been one of my top priorities with the music that I listen to. So just really examining those lyrics, oh, I fell in love, I think, because, it's such a powerful statement to say that in my DNA, there is more than what you can see on the surface. In my DNA, there are bloodlines, there is history, there is depth. Like I'm more than just this physical appearance. I'm more than just what you see on the outside. And get to know me a little bit, and I'll show you. Yeah, like I'll show you exactly how amazing I am. Things that you can't see unless you really look through a microscope, right? So I hope to live my life like that. I hope to live my life not automatically assuming who people are because of the way that they look, and not just the color of their skin, but just assuming that this person must live this type of life or this person must live that type of life, right? Knowing that we're all extraordinary because of that. And in our DNA is a history that only we can tell. So, something interesting for me is this book right here. It's super off topic, but it's called Lettering. Um, Lettering and Modern Calligraphy. I've taken this up as a self-care. So this is what Mari does for self-care. I don't want to write in the book because it's pretty. So I've been practicing like on papers out of it, but yeah, this is what I do on my free time. Again, self-care, self-help is super, super, super important. So find your niche, and I have found mine through lettering and calligraphy.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for watching. It has been amazing to have you all. It's been amazing to talk to Tony. Having conversations with Tony on and off camera is one of my favorite things to do because, you know, we're both very similar but different in personality and could just understand what the other is talking about. So we hope to have more conversations with more of you. So please feel free to reach out to us. Come be a guest on the show, come have conversations, and please, 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 if we reach out to you, let us know if you can or can't be on, because again, this is a place where we want to have conversations that amplify youth voices and youth discussions.
Also, I want to thank you all as well. Thank you for watching. And I also hope that you are inspired to do something. It doesn't even have to be like this, right? To just create a space in your communities, in your household, even with just yourself, right? Just to create a space where you can be you, right? And all that it is, and just the rage and the love and everything that you have to offer, right? And you know, if there's anything you want us to talk about, or if you want to be on here, whatever you want to do, send it our way. The email is power to the people podcast, or not, power to the people pod at gmail.com. And that will be in the description, of course. But yeah, just shoot us an email, anything like that.
All right. Well, thank you so
So,
much for watching, and we'll hope to see you in the next podcast. Bye.
peace.
Watching that episode back, I realized that we've come a long way. I'm excited to introduce our new members and the incredible lineup of guests that we have who are going to be featured in up and coming episodes. Thanks for tuning in to Power to the People podcast.